Morning, everybody. I'm Sue. Welcome to Blue Heron Hill. In the kitchen today. No gardening going on. We're expecting another storm. We've had like 2 storms a week for the entire month of February and going into March. This is just insane. But we know it will stop. It has to stop. April's coming. May's coming. Gardening season is coming. It'll get here, and then we'll be complaining about it's too hot and too dry. But as gardeners, we have to cope and we have to adapt. But what we're going to do today in the kitchen is, with St. Patrick's Day coming up, the markets are flooded with corned beef. I love corned beef to put in a number of different recipes, or just eating in Reuben sandwiches or casserole dishes or whatever. And I think I'm going to, after this video, I'll put out another video of one of my favorite recipes there. I use corned beef. But this is the only time of year that you can find corned beef. I can't find it usually in the summertime or in the fall, but this is the time. It's just out for St. Patrick's Day, which is coming at the end of this week. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, I got out my pressure canner because that's how I'm going to preserve my corned beef. Haven't used the pressure canner in probably about a month, but I do preserve food all year long. And so when opportunities like this come up, you know, with corned beef available in the markets, I go and buy myself some and put it away for the rest of the year. So here's my Presto canner. I've had this for a number of years. It served me very well. So after you use your pressure canner, it's important to wash it out, soap and water, and dry it thoroughly. I usually remove my seal and I check it all the time for cracks or splits or anything like that, because if that happens, this is not going to keep a seal and your pressure is not going to stay constant the way you want it. So it needs to be replaced. 2 to 3 years or more, and then it will need to be replaced. Usually when you order one of these and you get one of these, it also comes with this seal that you have on the overpressure, what's that called? The overpressure plug. So replace that at the same time as you replace this seal. And I would suggest don't even wait till you see a crack or a split. Maybe every 3 years, or depending on how long you use it or how you store it, you will replace that. So washed out, all dried and everything. I store mine with the lid down like this. It'll allow a little airflow through here. Also check your handles. If your handles are jiggly or loose or anything like that, take a screwdriver, tighten them up. It's always a good thing to check. Sometimes you have lots of discoloration. Mine's not too bad. I clean it out regularly, and soap water, maybe some vinegar. If you have, it depends upon what your water is like. The minerals that are in your water react with this aluminum and react with the pressure. I always give it a splash of vinegar. Now that keeps the cloudiness off those jars. I'm not sure that the vinegar will help too much in the minerals coating on this, but there is a way to remove a lot of this discoloration in your pot. And if anybody's interested in that, you could leave a comment down below, and I might be able to give you a link and let you know how that's done. When you store this thing, needs to be in a cool, well, or a dry place anyway. And no temperature extremes. So don't put it in some place that's going to, you know, the temperatures are going to fluctuate up into the 90s and then down into the 20s. Just find a place. I do my basement, it's cool and it's dry, and it stays relatively stable. Those few tips, and then the one tip they always say when you're getting ready to can is you look through your little vent hole here, and if you can see through it, it means it's not clogged. If it is clogged, clean it out. Little hot water running on that, little hot soapy water. If you're lucky enough, if you get a nice fine little filament like a fishing line or something, poke it up and down through there. Don't use a toothpick, because invariably the toothpick will break off, and then you're going to have more problems with getting that broken off toothpick out of there. So we're ready to start canning up some corned beef. Let's do it. All right, you all know what corned beef looks like. Oh, big slab. And it usually has a seasoning packet in it. You can use this or not use this. I am going to use this and sprinkle a little bit of this in each one of the jars. There are two methods that I can use to can this corned beef. One is the hot pack method, where you cut it all up, heat it up. You have hot jars that it's going to go into a hot canner, and then it's processed. The other way is the raw pack method, and that's the way I'm going to use. It's a simpler method. You just take your corned beef, you cut it all up into, probably 1-inch size cubes, and you put it into the jars. You pack it in, not jam-packed, pack it in within an inch headspace. No liquid at all needed, whereas in the hot pack you need a little liquid in there. The liquid will come out of the meat as it's pressure cooked, and that juice is delicious, and don't throw it away. It's there to be used. So that's the method I'm going to use because it's simpler. Cut it up, put it in the jars, seal the jars, put them in the canner. 75 minutes, I think, is our total pressurized time. And then after that, I will be able to put these down into my pantry downstairs and have corned beef all year round. So I'm going to cut up a few, going to show you my procedure, and I got lots to do. So let's get started. Come on. Here we go. I think this is a pretty good angle which to start. And I will. Most of these cuts of beef some of them are trimmed, which means most of the fat is cut off. Here's a good fat cap here. I'm going to trim that down just a bit. Now, it's impossible to get all of the fat off because it's a very fatty portion of beef. And there will be fat in your jars when you're finished processing. I'll try and get this big vein of fat out of here. It's the fat that adds the flavor to the meat. So we're going to cut this up into chunks about 1 inch. And it's important just to try and keep them all within the same size range. Have my jar with the funnel, and all I have to do is put these into the jar. You can squish them down a little bit, but you want to keep them to within the inch headspace. So I have a lot of cutting to do, And I'm not going to have you guys sit around here and watch me just cut up. So I'll bring you back when I'm ready to plop them into the pressure cooker. Okay, finished, and I filled up all my jars, and there we go. There we go. Looks like 16 pint jars. Now, I'm storing them in pint jars because it's just my husband and I generally, and more than that would, you know, be more than what we could eat. There's probably about a pound of meat in each one of these pint jars. So hopefully this will get us through the year. I'm sure it will. But anyway, the spices that come in those little bags that are located in, you know, within the packet of corned beef, I'm going to generously sprinkle a little bit into each jar. You don't have to put water in, you know, any kind of a liquid. Certainly doesn't need any seasonings, except for maybe this. So I'm going to do that right now. There we go. Next, you are always, and particularly when you're going to be pressure canning meats, wipe the rims of your jars, definitely with vinegar. This cuts the fat. You don't want any kind of obstruction on your seals here, and fat would be the number one no-no in a situation like this. And this is a good time too to check to see if you have any nicks or, you know, out of your rims. You can kind of feel it as you go around. So the next thing would be, of course, our lids. They're just in a pan of warm water. Often, I think now you don't need to soften up your lids. I guess I just do it out of habit. Lids are all on, and I will finger tight. But finger tight to me is when I push it and turn it, and it just starts having a little resistance on the cloth, and then I just give it just a tiny bit more, and that's all. Turn, and just a little bit more. Turn, and a little bit. Last one. Turn, little resistance, a little bit more. Do it again. Turn, just a little bit more. Put your rack in the bottom, and now we start filling it. No need to use a jar lifter or anything because these are raw packed. And they aren't hot. They're actually kind of cool because the meat was cool. There we go. I can fit 8 very comfortably on the bottom of this. And then I have 8 to go on top. And then I have another rack. The flame is on, kind of a medium high, and the water will come to a boil in the pressure canner. Steam will start coming out of this vent here, and when it does, at a steady stream, you're going to count for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes is up, then you're going to put the weighted gauge on there. Steam coming out here for 10 minutes, so I'm going to take my weight and place it over the top. And I'm going to wait till my pressure rises to 10 pounds of pressure for my altitude, and then count for 75 minutes and then turn the heat off. I'll be back when it comes out of the canner. All right, let's take a peek inside and see how things turned out. There we go. There's still some bubbling coming up. This is super hot. So we're going to put it on a towel on the counter. And it's best to wait for at least 24 hours, a full day, before you take the rings off and wash the jars and put them away in your pantry. 16 can. Thanks for following me on this video. If you haven't already, subscribe. There's more cooking and canning and gardening coming along. And if you can see, it's snowing already. That snowstorm's right on our doorstep. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt or cooking in the kitchen, bye.